Welcome back, DNA Strand crew, to the newest episode of the Culture Shock here on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network. I'm your host, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on Twitter or X at FFTJBlakeDNA. And as always, for the Cultured Shock, we're joined by the Cultured King, the one that knows more about culture maybe than anybody in the state of Indiana. It's the one and only my big friend, Big Bob Helfert. You can follow him over on Twitter at Big E Fat Bob. Bob, Culture Shock here, week 14. This is the last week of the regular season for the Dynasty Fantasy Football season. Hard to believe we're there, but we're going into playoffs next week. A lot to talk about. I know you got a lot on your mind. Let's just hop right into it here. Topic number one for the Culture Shock in week 14. What are we talking today?
Well, it's not going to be as much fantasy related unless I start stumbling into it, which I do. It doesn't matter. It'll always come back to fantasy. But like the Tennessee Titans, what are they doing winning a football game? Like, do these people not understand? Like, you don't have a head coach. You don't have an offensive line. And it's like, Shadur Sanders throws for 300 something yards against your team. And it's like, really? Like, good for Shadur, I guess, if that's what you want, how you want to look at it. I mean, like, it shows, but like his 2 games so far that he's, got to perform against are 2 of the worst teams in the NFL, and not just by like potential draft order, but like actual watching them play football. They're terrible. Cam Ward throws like 50% of his passes, 50% completion percentage today, 117 yards. He does get 2 scores out of it. Of course, he throws an interception, but that's young learning and things like that. That doesn't bother me, but like, I don't understand. I don't know. It's like the best thing for me to say is like, you have to know you need to lose this game. The best thing you need to do here is lose this game. This is an opportunity to make your team better, and you basically are like, well, screw this, and I mean, like, I know they got pride and stuff, but it's like, at that last drive, just let Shadur Sanders throw the touchdown, then let him have the 2 points. Like, it would have been it would have it would have wrote the script for itself. Just let the Cleveland Browns win their game, and they don't deserve to win. But again, you put these 2 dog water teams together so late in the year. Somebody had to score more points. It blows my mind that the Cleveland's defense allowed this to happen. Like, I'm surprised that Myles Garrett, didn't just lose his mind. And like, I got a backdoor conspiracy thought process in the back of my head is, did Cleveland sign him to this big deal? They told him, like, look, we're going to have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. You're going to be on the field forever. You're going to be able to get the sack record, and then we'll trade you, because that would be the smart thing to do. But that would mean Cleveland had a plan, and I don't think Cleveland has a plan. Just like Tennessee Titans don't have a plan, because like, there's no reason you win this game. I feel like this should have been a Cleveland and Tennessee segment, because like, I bashed on both of them. But I don't even understand that you don't have – you got to know where you are. And I don't seem like either one of them have any idea where they are.
So let me say, Bob, you're right. I mean, I think in a way Tennessee really dropped the ball here. You want to lose these games at this point in the season, right? But look, I mean, you know how it is. I kind of know how it is. When you're a competitor, you do want to win, right? I mean, that you want to win these games. I understand that. Like, I guess what kind of message would it be in the locker room, right? I mean, it's definitely something that you got to sit there and worry about as far as what team morale. You got to keep the players in it. But, let me just say this. I agree with you. Like, they definitely needed to lose this game, and they managed to win it, right? So I just want to know right now, I'm talking a few things from a dynasty standpoint very quickly. Tony Pollard, he actually had a game where he did something here, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. If you had Tony Pollard, it was kind of nice to see in a way. Look, I know that his contract goes through next year in Tennessee. They have an easy out. I know you're a 0 RB guy. Is this a guy maybe you're going to target later and maybe hope that they cut him? I mean, what's your thoughts on Tony Pollard? Because I know you always say any RB on a 53, and this is a guy that's values in the toilet, right? And I mean, just like to me, the only thing I will say about Tony Pollard, at least he ain't washed, right? Like, he kind of showed that today. I think it's the situation. maybe this is a guy you could target cheap and the situation gets better like in startups, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I've had tons of offers come in, and most of them are like low ball offers. Like, hey, you're Garrett. I'll give you Pollard and some other, whatever guy for, your Brees Hall or whatever. Like, oh, just because you're giving me two, I should automatically accept it. No, but I mean, it would be a guy that as long as I'm not paying like starting running back prices for, because you know how it is. Like some people are just like, oh, he's a starting running back, I should easily get a second for him, or a
Right.
second and a third. And I'm like, dude, he still plays on one of the worst organizations in football. And it's like, if the offensive line and it's like, they could easily point to this game, well, Cleveland's running defense was really good. Well, apparently not this game. Apparently Cleveland decided not to play rush defense. I don't know what the deal is. He squirted out of holes today. When I did get to watch it play, I was kind of impressed. But yes, cheap. But
in startups, right? I mean, I know startups.
Yes.
I mean, down there, I think that's more what I'm trying to say. Like, as far as a trade target, I'm like you. I'm not giving up no second for him, right? Like, if someone wants you to pay that, that's absurd. But I think it's startups, you get them later. I kind of like that. Maybe if you wanted to gamble a third, if someone's willing to let him go for that, I don't mind that either, especially in 2026, right? Don't mind taking a chance on him there. But you're right, Bob. I mean, it was just nice to see because, like, I think it's so easy to say when these players are on bad teams, like, oh, that guy's done. He's washed for sure, right? Like, I don't think about that with Tony Pollard. Like, I still think he could be a decent running back, too, for fantasy if he was in the right situation, right? It's just right now it ain't there in Tennessee. But I was kind of glad to see that. It's kind of nice to get it in front of your eyes. Seeing is believing. Like I said, at least he ain't washed. But let's talk about the next guy real quickly here. Shedeur Sanders, 40-some fantasy points this week against the Tennessee Titans defense. Are you using this opportunity to sell, Bob? If someone's really hyped up on this, are you going to try to sell? Like, would you take a single first if you could somehow swoon that away from somebody, even a 26 first?
Ironically, I think we talked about Shedeur Sanders last week, and I would have sold him last week before this game. But like, yes, I just, it's Cleveland. I mean, you see these lightning bolt games every now and again, right? Like they decide to wake up and be like, oh, okay, we're going to play today. Or I don't know. I don't understand. Like NFL, not for long. I was trying to explain to my wife today all about how I think that quarterback situations are dog water. He should have a job. If he continues to keep this job, that's great because somebody's going to have him as a QB 2/3 that is going to be a yo-yo potential player. But like, what was it? His last week, they won the game or whatever, but like he had like just over 200 yards and a score or whatever. I can't remember, maybe a rushing touchdown. And I mean, like the rushing's pleasant, you know what I mean? But I don't think that's his game. I think that's a situational aspect of the Cleveland Browns. They can't hold water on the offensive line, so he's got to scramble. And again, I've went as far as to say trade Quinshon Judkins because they're going to lose half this offensive line. I have no idea how they're going to be able to put a functioning offensive line together next year for Shedeur or Quinshon. Quinshon I'd want a whole lot more for, don't get me wrong. But Sanders is just, I don't know. I just don't see it.
Would you take, so like I said, you'd easily take any first, right? Any first you would take. How about like 2 seconds? Would you take 2 seconds for him at this point?
Yeah, I believe I would. I mean, depending on the class, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, You know how bad I am on 26 class. So like, I'm not taking 226 seconds because like those are hyper dart throws in my opinion, like completely. But if you're offering me a 27 second and a 26 second, maybe I would honestly rather get a second, a third, and 27. That type of thing, or a second and 2/3 and 27, a second, a third, and a lowly running back, Keaton Mitchell or whatever, who just got hurt again today. Something like that. That type of deal.
So I'm glad that we got to pick your brain on that, Bob, because look, you are right, and this was the Tennessee Titans, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Shedeur because I've said it many times, like it doesn't matter. You play who's on your schedule, and you try to do the best you can, and he's doing that right now, no doubt about it. But at the same token, this was a very bad defense in the Tennessee Titans. But maybe you could cash out and get quite a bit for this guy if you have the opportunity to, right? It's all about selling when the time is right, maybe buying when the time's right. We talk about this with Dynasty players. So the Turd Bowl's over, Bob. The Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans, and I agree with you. Both teams should have probably tried to lose this game, but one had to manage to win it. And surprisingly enough, it was the Tennessee Titans. But what's culture shock topic number 2, Bob, for this week?
The Bengals. This is the absolute blueprint on how to not run the franchise properly. I have no idea. The offensive line did Burrow enough favors to get him time to push the ball, but like their defense can't stop anything. And like they had what was it that did oh my gosh, Allen like had like 2 turnovers or whatever, like right there. I mean, how many turnovers did they have in this game in general? It was quite a few. Well, I thought that there were more than that. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, Burrow threw the 2 interceptions back to back. That's what I got that backwards. But it's still, he's pressured. And it's like, yes, T. Higgins has a great game. I sold T. Higgins too soon, probably because I didn't think that Burrow would come back. I didn't think he would be healthy. And Jake Browning could only see Jamar Chase. And then even when Flacco got on there, he really only seemed like for the first couple of weeks, he could only see Jamar Chase. Now, that picked up. There's 2 weapons. It is what it is. Higgins has a pretty good game today as far as getting in the end zone. 6 for 11 and 92 yards. This is pretty good. I don't know how you can go about not having any defense. If they could just have made 1 or 2 stops in this game, it would have been awesome. They would have won.
They could have won.
Yeah, even with, I mean, like, we talked about this before. I can't remember what game it was, but like, it was the Seattle game when I was talking positively about Seattle. This team managed to turn the ball over 2 times in a row, and they only lost by 5. Like, just 1 stop or 1 less turnover, I guess. I mean, maybe. But, like, man, it's tough to win in the NFL with no defense. They just didn't play defense. And I mean, I'm an IDP guy. I play IDP. I mean, it's great to see tackle numbers get raked up because it's just going back and forth. Actually, back and forth games really don't help any. You want slog games where the defense is on the field all the time. But I don't know, man. I feel for Burrow. Like, I don't know. At first I was like, why is he coming back? And I mean, I know he's a competitor. I know he wants to play. There was this super slim outside chance of them making the playoffs because Pittsburgh and the Ravens had to play each other twice. And if one of them swept, maybe they could have got in or whatever. Sketchy things that I can't even begin to fathom why they even tried to do it, because they don't have a defense. Even if they made the playoffs, what were their hopes? To just catch fire on offense and hope that they could score 50 points. I don't know. It's just, I don't understand why this team is the way they are, but their offense, stellar. Like, it's really good. Like, you want to have pieces of it. I hope Chase Brown sticks around. I know that's your boy. And then like Higgins is done fine, when he's there. And then but when you have all that money in 3-4 players and they get covered up, what are you going to do? I don't know. It's
right. Yeah.
It's an annoying situation.
Well, it is. And, like I said, I feel bad for Joe Burrow. And you mentioned this at the start of the season. Like, we kind of anticipated seeing this coming, right? And like you said about T. Higgins, look, I mean, T. Higgins is a good player, no doubt about it. But, like, can you really trust Cincinnati for the long term, right? And I mean, and everyone perceives him to be the wide receiver 2 on that team, which he really is. So you just don't get super high-end wide receiver 1 prices for T. Higgins. So, like, to me, his value is something that, like, it won't change much in my eyes. As long as he's in Cincinnati, I don't think his value ever changes much because everyone considers Jamar Chase that guy, right? And then Joe Burrow as the guy. And you just don't really think about that with T. Higgins. So I just don't see his value being shot up much and people really willing to pay a value that they think is, unethical, right? So I think that as far as selling him goes, I don't think he did all that bad. And this is a team, like we talked, Joe Burrow gets hurt, it's down, right? I mean, it's over. It can just go right down the poop chute. And next year they won't have Joe Flacco. I mean, they'll have Jake Browning again, and it's like, okay, you're going to be able to get somebody in there that's Joe Flacco-esque. I mean, if like Jacoby Brissett's a free agent, try to get someone like that, right? Like they need a solid backup quarterback to help this thing go, because the way you spent your money, the way you built this thing, you better have a good backup quarterback for Cincinnati. You better, because like you said, there's no defense there whatsoever, and they can't draft it. They have always struggled to draft defense. I know this team, this division, inside and out. They very rarely hit on any kind of defensive monsters. We just don't see it very often. I mean, they can get a decent guy here and there, but no superstar type impactful talent. Cincinnati's always been on build on offense. I mean, you go back to the day till now. That's just kind of the way they like to build. And Chase Brown, you mentioned it, Bob. Before we move on, though, you know, it's amazing, like you said, what a quarterback can do for this team. I mean, when they got Joe Flacco in there, it started to build a little bit, and then you get Burrow back. This guy definitely could be a league winner. We talked about that a lot, too. Like, I mean, he could be someone that if you picked him up for a single first, I think you did well. And you know as well as I do, Bob, before we move on, Cincinnati is a team that they should draft other positions, but will they, when they make the mistake of take a running back? They may. They very well may. But I think, like, as far as, like, if I was running the team, I'm looking at all defense and all offensive line. Like, that is what they need more than anything. So I just think, like, if Cincinnati looks at this logically, and that is a big if you have Chase Brown, I'm feeling good about him again next year. I really am. It's like, why would you want to change him? He plays well as long as the quarterback's there to help spread this offense out and move the ball. Chase Brown is very good, perfectly adequate. I don't think they really need to upgrade much, in my opinion.
Is he under contract for one more year?
Yeah, I think next year.
If he's under contract, I don't see why they would do anything different. He's more than adequate. They're not going to want to pay somebody because I don't know that they can really. And then what they need to do is they need to do everything on defense. But what they need to do and what they will do is two different things. They just it's like we got teams that don't have a plan. They just happened to luck into getting Burrow and Chase where they landed, and then Higgins or whatever. It's like they just got lucky, and then of course they're overpaying them now. So, but they're not doing anything on. I don't know. It's like I don't think that they really got a plan other than let's just have 3 superstars on the team, sell a whole bunch of jerseys, and try and hope that works out.
You're right, and put butts in seats, because offense is always more exciting, right? We don't need a defense. You're right, Cincinnati is cheap that way, but they do need to get, I mean, if I'm drafting, that's where I'm focusing on solely if I'm the Bengals, because they need it, and they need it desperately bad. So we'll see what they can do, Bob. It'll be interesting. Let's go over to the next topic here. What do we have tonight?
I got to go back to my list. Oh, the NFC West in general. So I kind of wanted to touch on all 4 of these teams. Seattle looks amazing. They really do. Their defense is phenomenal. Sam Darnold is still Sam Darnold, but with the defense playing as well as it is, he doesn't have to do a whole lot. And the running game looks pretty good with Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker III or whatever is not like anybody's cup of tea, I don't think. But again, it's being successful the way they're running it. And they're not running it a whole lot. Ironically, I'm looking at this now. It's like 10 carries for Walker for 29 yards, 7 carries for Charbonnet for 6.6 yards. But like Jackson Smith and Jigba is the straw that stirs this whole team. He looks phenomenal. They get a nice little special teams touchdown today from Rashid Shaheed that they traded for. Awesome. Like, this team is a team that I want to buy assets on. The Rams are the same way. It's a team that I kind of want to buy assets on. Adams doesn't have as good a game today, but Puka Nacua picks up the slack. Blake Corum, that we just talked about on the deep dive or whatever, has a real good game, and Kyron Williams just kind of takes a back seat or whatever. It is what it is there. I think that they're still committed to Kyron Williams, so I don't want to be like, oh, Corum's going to take over, but I also think that it's just it is kind of what it is there, right? It's they're gonna every team's gonna have a committee, in my opinion. You go to the Cardinals. Like, I think that they have to know they need to get rid of Kyler Murray. Where they're going to send him, what they're going to do. They already told him he's not going to play the rest this year. I don't know if they're going to try and save face and say to everybody they want him to get healthy, or if they're just going to be like, hey, look, we need to go another direction. They need to find somebody other than Jacoby Brissett too, because I'm not 100% sure he's the guy, but I'm also not saying that he can't be an adequate backup, maybe even a halftime starter if they were to draft somebody or pull somebody in that needs a little more polish, like we talked about the other day with like a Zach Wilson or whatever. You want to give Brissett some competition in the offseason. Michael Wilson, we talked about him again. Here's another week where he just absolutely blows up. It is a guy to have. I think that even if this dude isn't the one for this team, if him and Harrison do like 1A stuff, Trey McBride's always going to be part of the offense. But like, man, he looks good. And he's putting yards up in bunches. And Brissett can find him, and 2 touchdowns today too, so he's got a nose for the end zone. Then why is my brain farting on the last team in the West? That's it, the 49ers. So they're on bye this week. That's probably why I had the problem remembering. This is a team that, like, Slim hates it because they get great schedule because, like I said, I think they may be the only one that understands when you're going to suck, just suck. It's hard to say much about them today, but, man, if they can just get a little smidge of healthy, they're always going to be dangerous. I think there should be at least 3 playoff teams from this division, and the NFC is right now, like, the AFC's got all the quarterbacks, but none of the pieces. And the NFC has like a whole bunch of the pieces and quarterbacks. It's like, obviously.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see which conference wins out, the way that's going, Bob. You know what I mean? Like, does the team structure, like how the NFC's doing it, balance out and win the championship, or is it going to be more of the high end, get the big time quarterback for the clutch moment style AFC, right? Like, that's going to be kind of intriguing to see how that works out, and I'm glad you brought that up. But let me ask you this, Bob. I've got 2 questions for you when it pertains to the NFC West. I want to know right now, in your eyes, is this the best division for fantasy football this year? Like, as far as like the most balanced, you can trust the most, it seems like the most consistent. Do you believe that?
Yeah, just trying to break through the rest of it in my brain. Like, yeah, I think off the top of my head, yeah, because like I trust. I mean, even the Arizona Cardinals, there's 2 to 3 players on the team that I'm interested in, even with Jacoby Brissett, especially in super flex leagues. If they could get any kind of a running game, I think they would be better off. Now, LA's a good team. So, like, and they just had that brain fart game last week. I'm glad they didn't, take Arizona lightly this week for their own, playoff appearances or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, there's at least, every team's got at least one wide receiver we're kind of excited about. Well, maybe not San Francisco, but I don't know. I like Jennings, but it's not like he's like, ooh, and he's kind of a nutcase apparently because, he got punched in the nuts for basically saying things that he shouldn't have ever said. I don't know about it, but apparently everybody thinks he's a douche. I got zero faith in Brandon Ayuk, but he won't be there anymore. I do like Pearsall, but he can't stay out of a medical tent. Kittle's awesome, but, he's just that age and he kind of gets banged up here and there. And McCaffrey's like, I mean, the thing is like the San Francisco 49ers could be here, all the way at the top, or they could get 2 or 3 injuries and be all the way at the bottom. They might have the least weapons I'm excited about, but every other team's got 2 to 3 for sure. So yeah, I think this is a division that I like having fantasy pieces out of for sure.
Yeah, and I do think it's the most consistent for fantasy football. Like, it's almost like what you're going to get. Like, it's very rare if you have a down week. Like you said, as bad as Arizona is, they are putting up points and they are, doing things, moving the ball. Like it just, their defense has let them down and they ain't overly strong on offense. But I will say, as a bad team, it helps carry this division to make it more fantasy friendly. Last question, real quick, Bob. Yes or no? Blake Corum, you mentioned it about taking over a little bit for Kyron Williams. From what I'm understanding is, I think the Rams want to try to not run Kyron completely into the ground. That I'm not saying that, Blake Corum ain't going to have a role, but like they're really utilizing him more down the stretch. But as good as he's playing, do you think he's going to force their hand and maybe make this more of a timeshare?
Well, they pretty much split carries today 50-50. Williams had 13, Corum had 12. And it looks a lot better in Corum's hands. I mean, he's probably going to get closer to a shift. I imagine Kyron's probably still going to be more the goal line guy because I think they probably trust him there, and Corum be more like the breakaway type dude. Neither one of them seemed to be very useful in the passing game. They only had three targets and 3 catches. So, there goes that. But when you got Puka Nacua and you got Devontae Adams, and even Cody Parkinson showing up a little bit today, do you need wide running backs to catch the ball? I mean, I think you're going to be okay starting him in a flex, even if Kyron's completely healthy. You know what I mean? I think
okay. That's kind of what I was thinking, Bob. Now, just let me ask you though. You feel comfortable giving up a 26-second for Blake Corum right now?
It's the pick, right? 27 third, 27 third, 26 second for sure. Yeah, I'd do that. So, yeah,
okay. I just wanted to pick your brain. I wanted to see where you're at on that because, like, to me, I think I'm ready to do it. Like, at worst, I think you're getting a great handcuff and an elite offense, right? And, I mean, you're going to get a solid football player. And just maybe by hook, by crook, he takes this over a little bit, and we see more of the 50-50 stuff. And the Rams are an explosive team. I want pieces in. So, like, I have no problems making a move like that. I just want to see where your thought process was, and we know how we all feel about those 26 seconds, right? I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't maybe find a gem there, but everything we're seeing, it ain't like you're licking your chops to make that pick. So, okay, Bob, let's go over to the next topic. What do we have for topic 4?
Well, let's take a minute to bash on the Raiders some more because they deserve all the bashing they can get. What did this?
Wait a minute. I did that for you, Bob, because I know you just love to give the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders a hard time. But go ahead, I'll let you into it.
I don't understand. I mean, like we talked about this at the beginning, and we've talked about this ad nauseum probably all season. Again, you weren't ready for Ashton Genty. You give him the ball 10 times a day, he gets 30 yards on it. And what was it? I know he had a catch or 2. Yeah, 2 catches on 4 targets for another 8 yards. Like poor Slim. Like, oh man, my potential QB or my RB3 or whatever on the season's got 34 yards on the day or 38 yards on the day. Did I read that right? 38 yards on the day. Woo! Crap. It's like Brock Bowers. This team's making Brock Bowers look ineffective. He had 4 catches today and a touchdown, 46 yards. That's great, but like, where was all that magic that we got?
So much more.
We had all that magic the first year.
There's so much more.
Yeah. And it's like you bring in Kenny Pickett. You bring in Kenny Pickett after Geno gets hurt. He actually threw for a better percentage and a farther distance of fields, but like he throws 1 touchdown to some dude that Shadrack Jackson or whatever. Like, who is that dude? It's got to be a practice squad player. So that's where Kenny Pickett's been hanging out on the practice squad. They probably hyped up the acquisition of Kenny Pickett. Like, yes, we got a first-round quarterback to go in and run Geno Smith. Like, our quarterback room's so solid. We got 2 first-rounders. Like, oh my gosh, man, dumb.
Two first rounders nobody ever wanted, right? I mean, that's the truth of it. But Bob, let me just say this though. You mentioned it a million times about Ashton Genty. And look, and everyone always kind of like, oh, Bob hates Ashton Genty. No, I know you. You just hate the fact that he ended up on this team. And like, he is not a superstar in your eyes. He's a very good player, but it's going to be hard for him to overcome this, as it would be anybody. Like, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. If Jahmyr Gibbs was in this nightmare, he couldn't do much, right? I mean, that's the problem with the whole Ashton Jenny thing. And, we look at this like, do you think it gets better at all next year? I think that's what I want to ask you, because I know you keep going after the Raiders. And do you think, like, let me just say, put your GM cap on for a minute for the Raiders. I know you would hate that, but let me just say, if you had to make this choice for them, Bob, would you try to draft like a Mendoza, or do you think you would go for like a Brissett or somebody like that? Maybe pay a little bit more money, get one of these retread type players in. I mean, where would you go if you were the Raiders? Because I mean, they got holes everywhere.
I don't know. So it's like, I heard an analogy the other day that was like, it would be like trying to build onto your house while the other side of your house is on fire. It's legitimately like oh, I'm over here, I'm painting, I'm putting spackling on, I'm filling a couple like, we're gonna do an addition. The other side of the house is completely on fire. I don't know why it's warm on my back, but like I don't know, dude. Like I would love to.
If you don't have an answer, that is scary to me, because like I know usually you would have a thought process on this. So I mean, the fact that you're like, I don't know, like that's like you're right. There's a lot of problems here, but I mean, like if you had to flip a coin, like what would you do?
So let's just say that Tom calls me up and said, Bob, we're part owners. We've heard you on the DNA network. You sound like you got your stuff together. You're 50, so you're not like completely old. I'm not quite 50 yet, but you're not old enough that we couldn't hire you and bring you in. The first thing I'm probably going to do is just trade away a whole bunch of stuff, because I cannot possibly fathom that this team's going to be ready, or that Ashton Jeanty is not going to be successful on this team without a complete overhaul of the offensive line. So you're not going to find 4 Pro Bowlers or 4 halfway decent offensive linemen in one season. Probably not even 2 seasons. Colt Miller is really good, but he's it. And he's hurt. So like when that guy gets hurt, what are you going to do? So I probably look, I would have loved to seen Ashton Jeanty go to Houston instead of Woody Marks. Or, I mean, even Pittsburgh instead of Caleb Johnson. I mean, their offensive line's not great either, but it's light years better than Vegas's line, right? So you got to build the offensive line. You might as well trade Max Crosby. And like I told my son, I was like, look, you trade Max Crosby, get a backup guard and a pick. It doesn't even matter if the guard's awful. At least you got some, maybe somebody that had some talent that you think you could probably mold. That type of thing. Like you got to, and it's like, it almost needs to be stripped down to the absolute nuts and bolts and start all over. And
so you're saying go over to the other side of the house, put out the fire, and then you got to work on both sides of the house to get it complete. So, okay, now, I agree with you, Bob. I think that you're right. They're going to have to make a lot of moves. And if I have Ashton Jenny, I'm very concerned because, I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't do what we've seen him do against Dallas. When you're playing kind of similar competition for an offense compared to a defense, he has enough ability. He can do that. But like in a game like today against the Denver Broncos, a tough game, he just got shut down and you can't do nothing. Like that cost you fantasy games, right? So I think I'm seeing what you're saying as far as like, yes, trade everything down. So if I'm gathering you right, I know the way you think. They're not ready for a young quarterback. Probably just bring in a Jacoby Brissett and just see what happens, right? You got to get somebody in hopes that maybe he plays well, right?
Well, at this point, I think they signed Geno Smith to more time than they should have ever considered, right?
Right.
At this point, I'm just like, okay, let's just keep rolling Geno out. Let's hope, and like, hey, look, I don't want you to win a game. But, whatever. You go out there, you sling the ball around, you throw all the interceptions you want. But I'm like, I can't possibly fathom. And it really sucks that you weren't smart enough to do something right the first time. But when you don't, you cannot just rest in your mistake. They got to – if they were smart, they would move Jeanty, whatever, to the highest bidder. If they got somebody that called them and said, hey, look, are you any interest? Yes, let's move the guy. They got something for Jacoby Brissett. Okay, I I'd hate to say it, but like you might as well trade Brock Bowers. This team's not going to be good enough, fast enough for it to be. And it's like, you know, people seen, you know, Brock Bowers was tight end one with Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, but they were probably just a little bit better. I think there were people that we talked about in free agency that moved off the Raiders offensive line last season. They didn't keep some of the players. I forget what team it was, signed like 2 Raiders offensive linemen, I think. And we were like, oh, that's not going to be very good. And it still was, it probably was better than what they had or what they got now currently for sure. I don't know, man. It's everything. They inked Christian Wilkins to a really long-term deal, 2 or 3 off seasons ago. He gets hurt. He doesn't want to rehab. He doesn't want to be at the team. Basically just forfeits, you know, guaranteed money to get off the team. You know, Max Crosby, I know these guys want to get paid, but why are you staying there? Like, just be like, nope, I'm sorry, I don't want to sign this mega $1 million deal. I'd rather go sign a $30 million 1-year deal and hopefully that I play my butt off at some other team and they decide to ink me to a long-term deal. Don't just take the money. I don't understand. Some of these teams are just have no direction. Tennessee, Cleveland, the Vegas Raiders, the Jets, like the Giants, I think, are putting pieces together, but like it's kind of spooky. I think they can end up being really improved next year, so I probably ought not include them. But like, you know, there's just Arizona. I'm not sure what their direction is. Like, I don't know, man. There's no way. That's you like you said, and to go with my analogy, yes, you need to put the fire out on the opposite side of the house before you even start putting drapes up on the other side.
Right. And we know Vegas, like the old saying goes, they like to put the cart in front of the horse. And you can't do that, right? I mean, you got to be able to go in order, like you said, build this team up, get it nasty up front. Go back to the old Raiders, right? I know they like to hit the long pass, everything like that, but the old Raiders were a nasty group of players in between the trenches. That's where it's won and lost. I agree with you, Bob, and they got to fix that. And if I have Ashton Jenney, I am concerned. And as far as, like you said, is moving him from an NFL perspective for the Raiders, same thing from a dynasty standpoint, right? Like, I give you a ton of credit because you said it at the beginning of the season, trade Ashton Jenney, get Jonathan Taylor plus. You said that, and if everyone would have did that, what a move you would have made, right? So I think right now, if the hype machine starts to build up a little bit again, if the Raiders make a few moves, I try to get out of that situation, maybe upgrade and get more value, right? Get more pieces back just for one player in an underachieving offense. Okay, Bob, last thing to talk about here tonight for the Culture Shock. What do you have for this last topic?
Well, I had the AFC East in general, kind of just doing the same thing we did with the West there. Like, the Patriots, man, are obviously they didn't play this week. They're on bye. What gift did the NFL give the Patriots, right? Like, hey, let's get it. You know, you guys are going to play well, and then we're going to give you the last bye week to rest up before you go into the absolute, you know, the last quarter of the season where you need to play your balls off to make it to the playoffs and get yourself set up. Travion Henderson looks really good, not like awesome, but like really good. I think that Vrabel has a way of getting players to play harder, better than just about any coach in the NFL. We were talking about it, I think, on the other podcasts that I do about the defensive players on New England. Like, they're all a bunch of scrap heap guys that Vrabel's coached someplace else. And it's like they're playing to win games and not necessarily for the name on the back, more the name on the front. And it's highly, highly exciting to watch. Drake May is an absolute stud. In my opinion, he may be the MVP of the league, doing with what he's doing with, you know, kind of a piece together receiving core with Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs and Matt Collins and Kayshon Boutte. Like, you know, these are not household names in fantasy, right? They're scrap heap dudes and they're playing extremely well. Then you've got, let's go down to the bottom, and you got the Jets. Like, I don't know, man. I just mentioned it. They are another situation where at least when they were building their house, they're like, hey, let's get a coach that we think might set a culture. Is it going to be a good culture? I have no idea, because right now it doesn't. At least it seems like the team wants to play hard for him, but they might just not have enough of the pieces. And of course, they sold a couple dudes that I'm surprised that they sold, but they got a ton of draft capital for it. And I think they may be a year too early, but they got a lot of 27 capital too in those two deals. So, hopefully they don't do something stupid. I think if any team trades up to number one to get Mendoza, they're going to be in a bad way, unless it's a very good team that's just like, hey, look, we're going to move to a new QB because, like in Slim's scenario where he said the Rams or whatever. I don't know. Like if Cleveland were to trade up, if the Jets were to trade up, it's going to be bad news. But either way, the Jets are still a dumpster fire. And then the Miami Dolphins, I have no idea what that team's doing. Like, are they trying to still make the playoffs? Do they pay any attention? That's like, I don't know. And then, of course, they lose A-Chain today. I don't know how long he's going to be out. Ironically, I tried to grab A-Chain in a deal today or this week, and it was basically like, I don't know, Bob. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. I just rejected it, and he gets hurt in the middle of the game. It's like, well, I dodged that bullet. But even still, like, I don't know. Like, is
The Miami Dolphins problem to me is the quarterback and the coach. It just isn't working, right? And like, two, another team that thinks that, like, we talk about Vegas, kind of pick on them. Miami's kind of a similar situation. They think that they're ahead. I don't know how you would look at it, Bob, but I think they think they're ahead of even where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, like, ironically, what did they do today to win the game? They ran the ball. 107 yards from Jalen Wright, 92 yards from Devin Achane. And they get, 3 scores from their running backs. Even a measly 5 carries for Ollie Gordon gets them, 17 yards and a touchdown. That's what most of these teams need to do. And I feel like I'm a broken record 85% of the time, because it's like, if you run the ball and play good defense, you got a better chance at winning football games than you do the other way, because you keep you keep the ball out of the other team's hands, and you stop them when you're playing good defense. Which brings me to Buffalo. That doesn't seem like it can stop anybody, but man, can Josh Allen put a team on his back like nobody's business. That one of the commentators today said Superman, and I'm like, it may be one of the first times that I'm like, that dude puts up a Herculean effort every single time that he wants to. And I mean, it's like, I know that they've had a couple of letdown games, one against Miami, for instance. There was a couple weeks ago when he kind of had a turd sandwich of a game, but like, man, when it's on the line, it just seems like he turns into a different dude, and I mean, I'm sure he doesn't go, ooh, I turn into 17 when I get on the field. But like, seriously, like, now, like, I don't know. It's a very, like, my wife's like, I was telling her, I said, I kind of want Buffalo to lose. And she's like, I thought you liked Buffalo. And I'm like, I said, it's not that I like Buffalo. It's that I think they need to figure some crap out. And it seems like they're going to have to not make the playoffs to figure crap out. But lo and behold, what did they do? They won. And then she's like, I can't believe you're rooting against the Bengals because it's Logan's team, my boy's team. And I'm like, I ain't rooting against them. I was like, you just make it, you don't understand like what I'm trying to comprehend in my brain. And but yeah, it's.
So let me ask you this, Bob, talking about the AFC East, because this is the one topic between these two teams that I find very interesting, and I want to get your thoughts on it. We see a lot of things like New England's on the rise. We know it. Now, you and I were kind of really big on this at the start of the season. Now, to be honest, we thought it was going to be next year, not this year, right? They're a little bit even ahead of where we thought. But do you think that this might be the Bills' last shot? Like, if they don't win this year, do you think that New England can help close that window on them? Or do you think as long as Josh Allen's there, they could still be that team in this division, or at least give New England a fighting, rivalry chance to win the division.
I think it could be very much rivalry-esque, right? Because we're like I just said, it just seems like Josh Allen, when he really wants to put in the effort, he can do it. And it's like, they threw the ball a couple times to Keon Coleman today. They could really use a dominant one. Now, Keon Coleman, I do not believe is that guy. Stephon Diggs is going to get older. You know what I mean? Like, Stephon Diggs on New England is going to get older. So, like, one way or the other, both these teams kind of have the same problem, right? They kind of have a weapon issue. They don't really have a guy that's like the closer on defense. That's like they're almost built super similar. They got Drake May and you got Josh Allen. One's going up, one's gonna have age creep into the play, right? And the biggest problem with Josh Allen is he's still going to want to get paid. So bringing in high dollar guys, or stars to help complement his game is going to be much more difficult. I think probably the next 2 years, maybe you could have like a back and forth a little bit. But I think after that, if I would, I actually bring this up way too often. Copycat league. Why hasn't anybody figured out how to get a team or a quarterback to follow the Brady mold? The dude almost always took less money to have a great team around him. He still made millions of dollars, right? But he made like his highest contract. I think it was either his first highest or second highest contract AAV year when he went to Tampa Bay. Like, Belichick and Kraft had him making $25 to $30 million every year, and he was the best quarterback in the league. Like, there was other guys like making, signing for astronomical dollar figures. Like, if they could just talk Drake May into being like, look, let's make your contract either extremely incentive laden, or, if you just take a little bit less than the top dollar, we can have this huge team built around you. And not only will you be a superstar, you're going to be on Fox. When you retire, you're going to have so much money you won't know what to do with, blah, blah, blah. And it's like your career lasts longer that way. If you can be protected and have great players to throw to. And even they were still cheap on wide receivers and stuff I did hear that there was, like, my boy was talking about how either Julian Edelman or Wes Welker or one of the slot white guys for New England said that Kraft would hang that over everybody's head that Brady took less money and he was the best quarterback in the NFL. So, like, that can rub people raw, but, like, it never stopped them from winning.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So you're saying, though, that Buffalo, in your eyes, has 2 years maybe, and you think this window could close. So that's basically where you're at. Like, I'm not saying for sure, but, like, I think the clock's ticking. I agree with you. I think the clock is ticking. So you're saying about 2 years.
Well, I mean, you got to figure Cook's getting older. They just re-signed him. I have no idea who the weapons that they're going to throw. I mean, if they're going to keep relying on Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid to be their, everyday in and out guys, like, who can they rely on really on defense? I mean, I know Ed Oliver or whatever's been out most of this year, but like look what they left on the board today for Cincinnati to do. You know what I mean? They gave up a lot of points. And again, it's not like the defense has been otherworldly this year. So yeah, like, I mean, and if Father Time catches up to everybody, ask Lamar Jackson. He's starting to look pretty pathetic, in my opinion, when he can't run. If Josh Allen's legs start to give up on him, which, my God, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. But, like, when they start to fail him a little bit, like, what's going to happen then? Like,
yeah. And I mean, look, even if Josh Allen drops from quarterback 1 to quarterback 12 or 11, like, that is a huge drop off. Like, just comparative to what you were getting compared to what you're going to get now. So yeah, like, and you're right. We talked about Lamar. Like when these guys that move around to make plays, when that athleticism does start to fade, it is a worry. So look, Drake May, New England's in a really good spot right now. They could really take over captainship back of this division yet again, maybe in the next year or two, like you said, Bob, if Buffalo don't add the right pieces. So what a great episode. Now, Bob, you have a little extra that you want to do tonight. I believe that you want to open up a pack of cards here live on the Culture Shock.
So my wife and I ran into this thing at Costco or whatever. It's like 8-pack, 6 cards a piece. And she's like, you know what you should do is you should open up 1 pack a week or whatever on your show to just do something different, you know, something that people would be excited about. So we got 8 weeks of goodness. It's like it'll be way past Christmas before we get past these. So let's open up a pack and see what happens. She's like, well, you could talk about the players, especially if you don't know them. And I looked at her and I'm like, I don't know players. Like, do you even know who you're talking to? So it's like, yeah, she
he should be the new general manager of the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, that's what I say. So, I mean, does Bob know players? But all right, you're opening that bad boy up. I believe those are
Panini. What is it, Mosaic or whatever? The Panini Mosaics or whatever. The first guy's a Jet, so that's not great. Oh, it looks like it's a retro card because Al Toon, I do not believe, plays anymore, right?
No, I believe that was an 80s player.
That's what I thought. So that's interesting. I don't know if you can see that. And I don't want to finger bang it too much, but
there's Al Toon, yeah, retro.
And here's my not so favorite player, Shadudu Sanders.
Shador Sanders. Okay, them are nice.
They do look nice. Like again, somebody would have to tell me, you know, this is pretty funny looking. It looks like oh man, what was the game where the heads were really big? NBA Jam, but like his head looks bigger. I don't know, but that's Drake May. That's sweet.
That is sweet.
I like Drake May. Oh, who's number one? Who's number one for you, TJ?
Oh, Q is RB1 for you. What a pull there, Bob. I like that one. I do like the Drake May card, too.
Oh, another retro, which I don't get. Why are we getting retro cards, but Julius Pepper.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, Julius Peppers.
Is that Julius Peppers? Okay, yep, Julius Peppers.
Basketball star Julius Peppers. People don't even remember that sometimes. But then, you know, Kyron Williams. But they look nice.
Them are nice cards. I do. Them are really nice. I like the background in each of those. Them are very cool. No doubt about it. But Bob, okay, so out of all them cards, is Drake May your favorite with the big head?
Yeah, I think so, just because I like the player the best. But that Q card's pretty sweet. He's standing there all studly. He's not in game motion since he was a rookie card. You know, I guess I could sell the Shadudu to Slim because he probably still believes. Not that I'm all about trying to sell cards or whatever. I'd have to get – I think Wiz is our card guy, right? He's the one that knows the cards.
That's right.
So maybe he could tell me if any of them are worth anything if he watches the show. So,
all right. Well, we have to get Wiz in contact with Bob about his pulls here. The Drake May card with the big head or the Q is RB1 for you rookie card. I like that one as well, Bob. Very, very good pulls. But what an episode. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us as always. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms and you haven't yet, please follow and 5-star the show. Greatly helps, and we so appreciate that. If you're watching the Culture Shock live on YouTube or just checking it out on YouTube for the first time, please like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate that. Make sure to go over to Twitter or follow us on Twitter at DynastyDNA_. Listen, I know I speak for Bob, everybody here at the Dynasty DNA Network, when we say, look, we wish you all the best of luck with what's remaining in your games for Week 14. Good luck if you made the Dynasty playoffs. We hope you have a great rest of your week, and we